Ah,
Yes?
there we go. That's good.
Okay, great. Okay, so sorry, being technically challenged today. So this would be a rubric to measure performance. So it could actually be used across a series of disciplines, but obviously it's not something you would use for sciences. So, you know, kind of depending on what you teach and the course that you're evaluating, you and the other faculty teaching that course are going to determine what that looks like. But rubrics don't have to be like specific to one exercise in one course. They can have a broader emphasis. So fine art is looking at composition, at the problem, at work habits. So they're looking at that broader scope. And if I were to take this into the technical theater area or side of, I teach drama, so if I were to take this into the technical theater, I could use this rubric there as well, because it's kind of assessing the same tools that you want the student to have at the end of the project. And then there's like a student services, I threw one on here that relates to the mission of the university and student success. And it goes through and kind of talks about their work and how they assess. So rubrics are very broad in scope and can be used to really measure anything. You determine what scope it is that you want to use in order to measure whatever your students are doing. I think. Yes, so the next we're going to go into building the outcomes. So right now we're going to take 10. If you are in the process, if you're zooming in and you've already got a rubric built for an assignment, then take 10, come back to us. And if not, then use this time to build a rubric. In order to do that, first off, you're just going to go to your assignment that you built. So go to assignments, find the assignment that you're working on. So I'm just going to open critical essay submission. I'm going to open edit. And down at the very bottom, there should be a place where it says rubrics.
It's not on the edit screen.
Say it again.
If you go back to the assignment screen for that specific assignment.
Why am I not seeing it? What?
Go back one screen.
Okay. Is it just at the
now go to the bottom.
Okay, thank you. So I already have a rubric set up for this one. But down at the bottom of your assignment, there should be a rubric button. So go ahead and open your assignment, and if you don't find a rubric button, ask me about it. Let me open another one that is not. So this is one that doesn't have a rubric set up yet, so just down at the bottom of the assignment. Don't go into edit. Don't do what I did. Don't go into edit, just at the bottom of the assignment, click on rubric. And this is going to give you a blank rubric to start working with. So you can add criterion, you can also find a rubric here if you have a rubric that you've already built for a course and you want to just import it, all your courses will be listed and you can pull that rubric into this project. But if you're building a new one, you're going to use this screen here to build a new one. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and get a rubric in place. We'll resume here at 10:15. No, I lied. Hang on. We'll resume here at 10:30 and start talking about outcomes. And if you guys who are zooming in have questions, just ask, because I'm working with the people that are in the room a little bit. You know, you know.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm creating the assignment,
Okay,
and then I'm creating.
okay, cool, yeah. It helps to have something that's, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be real, just like,
Okay.
yeah. You will need an assignment, because you'll need to import that.
So once I create the assignment,
Yes.
I save it.
Yes. So the question was, once I create the assignment, I save the assignment, yes, and then once you've saved the assignment, you can go back into assignments and go down to the bottom where it says create rubric. I actually have to give it dates. 'Cause-
Yes, okay, it's just, so I
Just hit save, you know.
okay.
Yeah. Then there's your rubric. Yep, you got it.
Okay.
I will say the setup for this is a little involved, but kind of once you get the patterning down, it's pretty easy. And then when you're actually doing assessments in Canvas, and you're doing you've given assignments in Canvas, and you're using all of an assignment or part of an assignment to evaluate your rubrics. Evaluate your outcomes. That aspect becomes pretty easy. It's an automatic thing that happens as a result of the work that you're doing here, so.
So we just leave it like this in the screen right now.
So have you built a rubric yet?
So here is,
Okay, so you're gonna have to build a rubric here.
okay.
So you're going to, criterion?
Oh.
Yeah, and then you're gonna,
So I put it 10 points for the assignment.
okay, so what are you grading the assignment on?
It's a journal.
Okay,
Create a
so
small journal.
what, I'm gonna edit this. I think there we go.
There you
So
go.
now what are you grading the journal on? Are you grading it on content? And if so, what's the nature of that? Are you grading it on writing skills? Are you grading it on, what are the main shifts? It's 10 points total, so are you looking for 2 or 3 things
Yeah,
in particular? So those 2 or 3 things are what you want to write here.
I see.
So that the students know exactly what they're being graded on because
see.
you make the rubric available to them.
So when like you showed before, like you have excellent, good, and
Yes.
poor. So you have to create, when you create the rubric, you're going to describe all 3.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I see. Okay.
So what you're going to do now is just do a description for the
Okay.
first criterion.
Okay. So this would be, let's say, excellent.
But no, it would be, what are you grading the paper on? Are you grading it on the content of the?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so just write just content.
Content, yeah.
Okay.
And is content the only thing that you're grading it on, or are there other aspects that you're looking at?
Just the content.
Are you looking at, is this a journal that you're going to be looking at over time? So is one of the things you're looking at their growth?
Yes.
So that would be, I'm only doing this because I want,
Yeah.
so do update, and then do add criterion level plus. There you go. So there's your second. So put in growth. Great. Now you have 2 things that you're scoring this journal on, and each of them are worth 5 points.
Okay.
So now 5 points is full marks. That would be like they've done excellent work, and 0 points is they didn't turn it in. So now you can hit this plus and start adding ratings in between. So now this 3-point rating is going to be, and you can change those once you kind of build them. So if you had, 4, maybe you have 5 is excellent, 4 is proficient, 3 is competent, and 1 means they didn't turn it in, or 0 means they didn't turn it in.
Exactly.
So just, why don't you make this one, you don't actually have to give it a rating title, you can just give it points, but it helps the students, I think, kind of understand where they are. Yeah.
Exactly.
So make this one competent, because it's right in the middle. And the competent, proficient, those are words I use. You can make them like I gave you the whole list, you can go back and
And then you just hit
update rating. Yep. And then you might do another one right there, so press the 0. And this one's going to be, maybe they turned it in and they wrote a little bit, but it wasn't long enough, so it's developing.
I see.
And then you would label this one like proficient or,
This one right here.
yeah. Mastery is another term that they, just hit cancel. Yeah, because you're gonna just edit that. There you go. And then you can change that from full marks to mastery or proficiency or whatever you want. And then at the 0, you're gonna say that was because it was not submitted. Now, when you hit the plus, hit cancel. When you hit the plus, you're actually adding another one of these. So if you just want to edit this one.
This one,
Yep.
you just hit this one.
Yep.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
So that one would be no submission.
No submission.
Yeah. And then essentially you can kind of repeat what you've done here. And then you can actually go in and detail. So go ahead and click on edit no marks. This one right here. Yeah. And so down here is your rating description. So that's where you would write the expectation that you're expecting the journal to be a minimum of 2 for excellent or for mastery. You're expecting the journal to be a minimum of 2 pages. It should cover 3 out of the 7 days of the week. They should talk about what they learned and how they grew, and so it's like those specifics. And then the next step down would be maybe they only journaled 2 days out of the 7. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
Give us another minute here to kind of finish this up, and then we'll move on with outcomes. So if you have your rubric already, go ahead and move into outcomes section in Canvas.
So we just click on the outcome. So once I can just need this page.
Yes, and then you're just going to click on outcomes. So you have one rubric that you can import and play around with a little bit.
Okay.
All right, so are we all, is anybody still working on rubrics? Can we move on to the outcomes side of it? Okay, so now we're going to start by building outcomes. So up here in the top, in this menu of 4 buttons across, you'll see outcome. Click on outcome, and this gives you the opportunity to build an outcome. So it should be one of the outcomes that the department has already assigned to the courses that you're teaching. So my outcomes are aesthetics, historical content, and production. And those are short terms for the longer outcome, but those are my 3 outcomes. So I have built those and I have uploaded them. And so you can go ahead and upload 1 or 2 outcomes more if you like. But it should be the outcomes that are attached to this course. So if you're teaching, English 101, it should be the outcomes that have been established for English 101. We'll go ahead and take 5 minutes and let you guys get that information in. You can cut and paste or type it in, whatever's easier for you. Once you're done, make sure you scroll to the bottom and hit the save button, which is kind of hiding down here. So in the middle of this screen, you'll also see a criterion rating for this. This is the criterion rating for that outcome specifically. So it can be the same as what you use for your rubric, or you can set up different criterion ratings for the outcomes. And then you're going to determine where you define mastery at as well. So is mastery at 5 points or 3 points or 4 points? Because that's how the system is going to define where that student is in their process. So I haven't changed this for any of them because I think that's a departmental discussion. So, but you would change them in exactly the same way that you change the rubric criteria. You just edit and you can add, if you'll notice it says insert, so you can insert another category, and then to edit, you just use the pencil to edit. It's the same exact process as in the criteria for rubrics. And then at the very bottom, make sure you hit that save sign, otherwise it won't save. When it's saved, it should show up as a little like target and then the name that you've given it up here on the side.
Could you just scroll back down to
Sure.
where you were just a second ago?
The rubric?
Just on the screen you're on right now, if you could just scroll down toward the bottom so I can, okay. So what did you just say about that table right there?
This table is the criterion for the actual outcome.
Okay.
So what your expectation is in terms of the student achieving success in that outcome when you're measuring it against the assignment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And it's exactly the same setup as in the rubric in terms of updating it. And then make sure to hit save at the bottom. The decaying average. It is, you can hit the down keys there. You can determine how you want it to read the scores that you give in a student for outcomes. So you may have 15 assignments in a class and 5 of them are outcomes, or have an outcomes base. So you're only looking at those 5. So do you want a decaying average of those 5? Do you want the most recent scores? Do you want the highest score? How do you want that? How do you want Canvas to evaluate the outcome process for the student? So if you wanted the highest score, maybe you're looking for something in particular that is going to give you, you want to know which assignment students did the best on. Or if you're looking at decaying score, it's kind of the average overall. So it just depends on what you're looking for in terms of the outcomes. And why would you want to know the highest score and know which assignment students did best on? Because that's a way of measuring, in your, like individually for you in your course, where students are grasping the most versus where they're grasping the least. So it might not be something that the department would use, but it's something that you could bring to a department meeting as discussion in terms of, How are you doing? All set? Okay, and do you have, okay, so you saved this, scroll up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, good, cool, okay. So I would suggest that you give the outcomes very specific names so that you know, because chances are you're gonna have more than one in a course, and that way you can use them to measure. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to outcomes. We're going to go over here where it says Manage Rubrics. So click on Manage Rubrics. And you're going to see your your 1 assignment that you did pop up here. Okay. So you're going to click on one of your assignments. And at the bottom, it will have Add Outcome. Again, I've done this already. So I'm going to pop back to the PowerPoint. Sorry, I have to keep moving that bar around. So we've kind of done this stuff already. We've created a new outcome. We now have a list of outcomes. And now we're going to, we've described the outcome, we've established criteria. By the way, on that page, on the outcomes page, there's a button that says import, and you can use that to import from a set of outcomes, like the district or the college's ILOs, although that is not set up by district Canvas yet. So that's not operable at this point in time, but ultimately it will be. Those of you that do program review, you know how you can pull the ILOs into whatever you're working in program review, or the other set of standards that the college uses. I can't think of what they're called. Anyway, that will eventually be available on this, but right now it's not because the district isn't there yet in terms of Canvas. So right now you can kind of use this to establish your own. So if you want to do ILOs, just build them. You can put them in and build them yourselves and share them out in your department. So we've kind of done this already, and now we're moving on to assigning a rubric to an outcome. So you're going to select the rubric you want to attach to the outcome, and then over here in Find Outcomes, click on that outcome, click on the outcome, and then click on, make sure you hit save after, make sure you hit update after doing that. So go ahead and go back to, I have too many screens going here, guys. So if you click on, you should be on a critical essay now, or on your new assignment, and at the bottom of your new assignment, there should be a place for you to attach an outcome. Okay, so you want to go to Manage Rubrics. There we go. And then click on Journal 1. Yep. And then find out. So once you're in your assignment, click on Edit, or once you're in the rubric for the assignment, click on Edit, and then they add the outcome to that rubric.
So it will look like this.
Yep, and then hit import. Yes, hit import. Yeah. So now when we go to that assignment and you do a dummy of that assignment, it will show, this will show up as well. You'll be able to. Are you doing okay?
I'm re-editing my rubric.
Okay. So I'm going to take you into the grade book to kind of show you what we've done. Don't go to the grade book yet, because you actually will need to complete the assignment to do that. So here's your grade book. If you go up to this little down arrow, you'll be able to key on Learning Mastery. Learning Mastery is going to take you into the outcome section of this. So you can see I've done some, I put in some numbers on some of the assignments that I put in for this. And I just put myself in as a student. I just entered myself as a student so that I could do this. I also entered my wife, but I never got her sign-in information so that I could create dummy assignments. So that's why she doesn't have anything. Slacker. Okay, so on production, according to this, I am meeting mastery. On aesthetics, I'm meeting mastery, but on historical content, I'm a little below. I'm near mastery, but not quite where I need to be. So this is across 3 assignments that I've done, and this is what it's showing me in terms of, and those assignments are set so that one of them is just historical context, one of them is aesthetics and historical context. So if I go and look at those, I'll show you those learning outcomes in a second. But this is how you actually look at how the students are faring in your class in terms of outcomes. To get back to the gradebook, you're going to go to the right-hand side of the screen where it says Learning Mastery, and you're going to click on Gradebook, and that will take you So if I go into assignments, and I click on the assignment, it will show me at the bottom, it will show me the rubric that I set up to grade the assignment, but then at the bottom it will also show me the outcomes that I have attached to this assignment and what there's 3 points, 3 points, and 3 points, so what in terms of the threshold. And then, like I said, I didn't redo these, and I would if I were actually using this for this assignment, I would redo these. But this is how then this is, so when this shows up in the assignment, so now I'm going to go back to the grade book. Anybody confused at this point? Everybody following? Okay. So I'm going to take you back to the grade book to show you what it looks like when you grade it. So when I grade this, I have the regular rubric, and then at the bottom I have the outcomes rubric where I can click on those and assign. So in reading through this essay that is supposed to have a great amount of historical content in it, I didn't meet expectations, and so I got scored lower on that. But in terms of talking about aesthetics of the production and talking about the production elements of the production, I did very well. So this is not used at all for grading. It's only used for scoring as an outcome. Okay? Make sense to everybody? Anybody have questions? Anybody in the Zoom have questions? So what I just talked you through was tracking that. So I'm going to get the PowerPoint out to everyone, and the recording will actually be up on, for those of you who are calling in, if you want a copy of the PowerPoint, email me. For those of you who are pre-signed up for it, you'll get it automatically. But if you are calling in, then and you weren't signed up for it when I got the list a couple days ago from Eva, email me and I'll be happy to send you the PowerPoint, because it actually does kind of walk you through each step. So this is what we were looking at in terms of viewing the student mastery, and then also how to move from the grade book to learning mastery. So sharing your rubric, once you've done all this work, you need to share your rubric out to Canvas Commons so that others in your department can grab the rubric and just import it into their class. So what you want to do to do that is you're going to create a blank assignment. You don't need to put any details into it. Label it like you had a journal assignment. So label it like journal and then in parentheses blank, so you know what that is. But and then name it the same as you name your rubric. So if you named your rubric something other than journal, name it the same as your rubric so it aligns with the rubric. Click save. Then you're going to go ahead and add the rubric to the assignment just like we did. Click save again. And then you're going to share it to Commons and tag it with keywords to help others find it. So in Canvas, you just click on Commons and it walks you through the process of uploading a document so that it's available. But you want to make it titled very specifically so that when you tell your colleagues where to find it, they can find it easily, because there's a zillion things in Commons, and it's so. But if you share it to Commons, that's probably the easiest way for them to upload it without having to like retype everything into it. So. These are some resources. Katie Palacios from here did a video on rubrics and outcomes in Canvas, and it's kind of really basic. It just kind of talks you through the general process of it so that you can kind of, it goes through what I did in kind of a 3 or 4 minute video. So if you're a little confused, it's a good place to go for a quick refresher. There's also the Canvas community that has a lot of Canvas information. And then there's a pretty good document in that Canvas community on aligning an outcome with a rubric. And so those are 3 that I threw in that I thought might be of use to you. And then this really is the end. I'm gonna hang here and work with you guys that are here. If you wanna like build another, now that you kind of have a sense of it, it's a good idea to right now do a second and a third so that it becomes more of a natural movement rather than your brain having to think through everything. And we have time to do that, so I kind of built that into like the last half hour or so of the session. For those of you that are on Zoom, I'm not really going to be presenting too much anymore. I think I'll end the recording at this point in time, but you are more than welcome to stay, hang out, continue to work, and ask questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.